PokerStatic.com. We bring you the interviews you want to hear. Now with your hosts, Bret Oliverio and Eric Bickel, the Poker Static Hot Seat.
What's up? You're checking out the Poker Hot Seat. Joining us now, the first chick who has been on the show. Her name's Thuy Doan. She specializes in live cash games, and you can also find her around the tournament scene, including the upcoming World Series of Poker. Now, Thuy has an interesting story. She's been battling cancer, and I've been following your journey on Poker Road, where you're blogging. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate you doing the show, Thuy.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And Bret, by the way, don't sleep on her live results. She's got two biggies. She had a final table, right, and like a $3,000 buy-in at the World Series a couple years ago, and then she cashed. She cashed in the main event too last year. Correct?
No, the chick can definitely play some poker.
But I have to tell you, as Bret said, we've followed your story and your blog, and I first came to know about you when Barry Greenstein and all these guys, they cut their hair in your honor as you were going through your chemo and everything. What was that like, by the way, to have all of these legends, Doyle Brunson, Elia Lesra, Barry Greenstein, and, you know, I think Joe Seabach, all these guys, they shaved their heads sort of in solidarity with you. That had to be sort of an overwhelming feeling of support.
It really was. I mean, chemo was probably the worst 3 months of my life. It was just absolutely hell. And to have that moment where I can kind of, forget about all the crap that I'm going through and just kind of absorb all the support from everybody was really amazing. I mean, it was really cool having, all these pros that I never met do it. But I think the part that meant the most to me was having my friends come. People might not know, but I'm actually good friends with, like, Peter Jetton, Thuy Doan, Alan Sass, kind of their group. They showed up, and I really didn't expect them to cut their hair. They kind of just, like, pressured each other into it, which is really cute. Right.
And how did
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? Like, when did you find out you had a health issue? Because seemingly you were just a healthy poker player, just trying to get started with your career, and then the health issues arose.
I never thought that I would come up with any health problems, but then last spring I started having ankle problems, and I would get a lot of pain while I was trying to sleep at night. I got diagnosed as a sprained ankle, so I didn't really think much of it. And then when I arrived at the World Series in last year, I felt this lump behind my leg, but I didn't really, the thought of cancer didn't really come to mind because I'd never heard of anybody getting leg cancer. It just seems like such a weird thing to happen. I thought it was like a torn muscle or something like that. And I finally got an MRI after the World Series was over, and that report was very bad. And then I got it biopsied, and then the final diagnosis came in August.
And how old were you at this time? Were you like 23 years old at the diagnosis?
23, yeah.
23, unbelievable.
I just graduated from college.
And then is it some sort of hereditary thing, or is it just literally being dealt deuce 7, just a bad luck?
I have no family history of cancer, and actually, I've been trying to do some research on cancer and how it comes about, and actually genetics has very little to do with it. It's really more about lifestyle and exposure to toxins and stuff like that. But I don't have no idea how I got it.
Do you feel like you were exposed to a lot of toxins? Were you doing something out of the ordinary with your lifestyle that may have contributed?
I wasn't doing anything super crazy. I wasn't like swimming in a pool of radiation.
Right.
So what exactly happened that day when you went in to get your MRI? Were you expecting it, or was it kind of like there's a slight chance I could have cancer? And what was that day like? And then the doctor came to you, and what exactly did he say?
Well, when I got the MRI, I had no idea that it was cancer. I just thought it was, like a cyst or something. So coming to that, I had no worries. But then when I got the MRI report back, and then when the doctors kind of started telling me what their guess was of the situation, that's when I really got scared. And that was the most stressful moment of my life. It was terrible. But what made it worse was that I was uninsured at the time because my mom's insurance was no longer covering me. And then it expires after you graduate, and then you have the option to get COBRA, but I didn't know that at the time. So that was...
Oh, that's just like a worst-case scenario. I mean, that's the thing they always warn you about. There's always that little window that every college student goes through where, they're kind of out of the family, but they haven't really started their own life yet. And everybody has that little window where they're uninsured and you got squeezed. Oh, it's really, really awful. Nightmare.
Yeah.
Nightmare. So, okay.
It really was.
So then you get that. Do you have any support when you're there and you're getting the results from the doctors? Your mother there? Do you have friends there? I mean, I would just break down. I'd need a diaper to get home. I don't know how you deal with that.
I had just moved to LA, so the only people that I had out there were my roommate and my boyfriend at the time. We're no longer dating, but yeah, I didn't really have a huge support group, and I just kind of relied on a couple people to help me out.
Wow. And then you get the diagnosis, and initially it was bad, right? So the idea was basically, was it aggressive cancer? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it was tough.
And from reading your blog, you tried some pretty heavy chemotherapy and those sort of things. What kind of chances did they give you of being able to lick this and avoid, the dreaded amputation, which nobody would want to have to go through?
It's kind of tough because when I asked them for statistics or to kind of give me an idea of what to expect, they were kind of vague about it because this type of situation is very rare.
Right.
Few doctors will ever see this scenario, in their profession, maybe, a couple times. So at the beginning, they didn't tell me that I had a slim chance, but I could kind of figure that from how they were speaking to me. I kind of knew that there wasn't, a great chance of me keeping my leg.
Right. Oh, and then so how long did you go through the chemo and everything when you were fighting this off, trying to avoid the amputation before you finally had to go ahead? It got too unbearable and you had to go ahead and do it. How long was that period?
That was quite a bit of time. Chemo was for 3 months. And then I started learning about alternative medicine because I've heard success stories of people beating their cancer without having to do radiation or chemo and stuff like that. So I went to a clinic that has been pretty successful in helping patients out, and that didn't work out for me either. I've seen it work for other people, but just not for me.
Right.
So chemo was from September until December, and then the alternative stuff was from January until I think March, and then March was when I just couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Now with the health insurance issue, you're going through this just terrible situation, and you find out you may not be insured. Did you eventually end up getting some sort of health insurance to help you out?
Yeah, there was a huge battle over that. My mom had to go to her managers and her work every single day, just crying and begging for my life, literally. She's like, "Please save my daughter." So what happened was, when you graduate, you have the option of buying COBRA insurance, which is a higher premium. But for me at the time, any insurance was awesome. And at first, they didn't want to let me on the COBRA plan because they claimed that my mom didn't inform them of my graduation date within the 60-day time frame that you have. My mom had to come back and explain to them that she had requested time off for it, and we had to bring in a lawyer friend of ours to help us out, and that's when it finally got through.
Wow, and that's obviously a big relief. But the procedure itself, that's not being covered. Is that correct? That doesn't make any sense to me. What, are they acting like that was some sort of elective procedure? I don't get it.
Well, they're covering most of it, and then when it comes to prosthetics, they will cover the majority of it.
I
the problem
see.
is that prosthetics are really expensive.
Gotcha.
Super expensive.
Now there's a charity. I don't even want to call it charity. There's a poker tournament that's going to be on Full Tilt May 16th at 5 p.m. And here's the deal. It's a $200 buy-in plus 100. The 100 goes to Thuy to help her with her medical expenses. That's a pretty cool tournament that they're doing for you. And guys like, I believe Durr is going to be playing in it. Maybe Andrew Roble. I forgot, maybe Seabach. A bunch of big name guys are stepping up to the plate here and doing a tournament for you, right?
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I have a lot of friends who are, really well-known poker players. And in addition to that, they have huge hearts. I mean, my friend Malia, she dates Erie Guy on 2+2, if you guys ever heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Robo, Josie Bach are the ones who put the tournament together. Yeah, it's going to be a massive help, and I really appreciate it.
No, I mean, that's incredible. How did you ultimately get hooked up with these guys, like in the very beginning? Was it simply because you came up in the sort of the same poker circle? Is that the idea? Playing online, that sort of thing?
Well, my connection to, I guess, the rest of the poker community is really through Hack and Z Dang. We went to college together at the University of Virginia.
Gotcha.
I was first year in college. They were fourth years. And at the time, I didn't know anything about poker. Was like the worst player in the world. I played a $5 tournament with them once where I called all my chips off with like a gut shot.
Huh.
So that was pretty bad back then. And then it was Z lived in a house of a bunch of other guys who played poker. I don't think that people really know who they are. So, and then it was kind of them who kind of introduced me to it. And then as I went along and got better and better at poker, I decided to go out to Vegas one summer. I think this was in 2007, and lived in a house with Hack and Z and a bunch of other people. And it was through them that I got introduced to, Phil Gaffon, Thuy Doan, all the other people.
Oh, I gotcha. What a small world. I mean, Bret and I are doing a strategy show with those guys, and we've done actually several interviews with them, been out to the house with them, and they're great guys. I'm not shocked at all that they are part of the kind of group that's rallied behind you and brought you into the world. That's amazing. That's amazing. And all those guys, right? I mean, we haven't met Tom, but Galfond and the Dangs and all these guys that you mentioned, they really are all great guys, humble guys. I've actually been blown away just as an outsider and dealing in the sports world and athletes, and a lot of them are very jaded. I got the opportunity, I don't want to name drop, but I got the opportunity to spend an hour with LeBron James. When was that, Bret? It was about 6 months or so ago, and he was very defensive, and he wouldn't let you in, and I haven't found the poker world to be that way at all.
The people that we've met so far have really been down to earth. They have huge hearts, and they don't let all the money kind of like inflate their heads too much. They're good people. Yeah,
definitely. And now I also know why. You're obviously a brilliant girl. You went to UVA, but you're hanging out with the Dangs and Doan and Galfond and these guys too. You got the best coaches in the world.
Well, I don't spend a whole lot of time, behind them asking for coaching lessons or stuff like that. But as I was learning over time, I grinded a lot of hours. I was crazy obsessed, playing online all the time.
Right.
But the Dangs definitely did help me throughout the process.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your growth actually as a poker player. So these guys kind of take you in. You learn a little bit from Hack and Z. You start grinding. What games do you start playing? Are you playing the sit-and-goes? I'm assuming you start out at the micro stakes like the rest of us. Bret and I are still stuck there, but...
I started on cash games. I think NL25 was the first tables that I started with $100 deposit on I don't know if it was PokerStars or Full Tilt or something like that.
Right.
And then at the time Z was the first guy to give me a poker lesson. He sat me down and kind of tried to teach me position.
Right.
He probably doesn't remember, but I remember sitting next to him and he would try to explain to me why raising ace-2 offsuit and the gun was bad. And I was like, but I have an ace, I want to raise it.
Right. Right.
And then it was another friend that I ended up dating later on, his name was Jesse, that really taught me the basics and would, sit with me for hours and explain, strategy and stuff like that.
Now what year is this?
So
What are we
how did you...
I'm sorry, Bret. Was this like 3 or 4 years ago, basically, when you got started?
Yeah, I got started my first year in college, spring semester.
Okay, so 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Did you burn up the ranks right away?
Not right away. I think within a couple years, maybe a year or two, I went from playing NL 25 to NL 2000.
Wow.
So when did you make the Oh, really? So when did you make the transition to live play? Did you know that you wanted live play was something you wanted to do? I mean, because there's a big difference between playing on your computer during your free time than actually going to a casino or moving near a casino and just sitting there for hours upon hours.
There is a huge difference. Over the years, I kind of saw poker change, and it became more statistics oriented, and you had to have stats and a HUD to really have an edge against other people. And as I started playing more of the World Series events, I realized that as a woman, your potential to make a lot of money in the poker industry is to play the live tournaments. Because the demand for female pros to be sponsored is so high that you have to try. So I wanted to learn how to play the live tournaments better, and something that's helped me to play them better is to play the live cash games, because it's helped me to pick up on just the tells and all that.
But haven't you had, we've been working with Nick Rainey playing some, the multi-table sit and goes, the 90 mans, 180 mans, things of those nature. And really what it seems to come down to, as far as what Bret and I have learned, is just, knowing when to push and fold, when you're inside 10 big blinds, all of that stuff. And while the cash game experience is obviously so useful, how did you learn those subtle aspects too? The push-fold stuff, knowing when to do all that when you're short and take advantage of position and all that, because there is something totally specific about tournament play too that you don't get in a cash game.
Yeah, there is, and I'm going to attribute a lot of what I know about tournaments to my experience in 2008 when I lived in the house with 9 guys.
Right.
And I used to spend a lot of time sitting behind Travis Rice or my friend Mario, and they were really good tournament players. And I used to just sit there and watch them play and ask questions. And so during that summer, I learned a lot. Right.
Okay. So you're kind of okay. I got it. So you're looking over their shoulder, but you didn't really implement a lot of that online. So you didn't play a lot of MTTs or the 180 man sit and goes or anything like that to hone your skills. You just kind of jumped into the live play.
I did try some MTTs online, but didn't really have any interesting results.
Right.
And I think that playing the live tournaments is a lot different from playing the online ones.
Right. Do you find yourself getting bored?
Sometimes, yeah.
Right? It's really hard. What do you do to stay focused?
I used to have my iPod on all the time and just zone out and listen to music, but I think I'm going to decrease on that and just try to spend more time focusing on the table and trying to get reads on people.
Right.
So when did you have your big first live success? Which tournament or your first big cash game score live?
That would be 2008 final tabling the 3K event.
Sick. And then
tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit about that tournament. Did you buy in with your own money? Did you have backers? What was the final table like? Tell us a little bit about that tourney.
Backer-wise, Travis Rice had 50% of me. Or, well, he had 30% of me, I think, something like that. And then I paid for a portion of it myself. And I don't know, I just felt really good going in that tournament and was playing pretty well. But then once the final table happened, I didn't have a huge chip stack, so there wasn't really much that I could do. I kind of had to play tight and wait for spots. And the spot that I finally shoved it in with, pocket sixes, John Fan, insta-called me with ace-jack, which I was surprised about, because I shipped from early position. But, yeah, I lost the flip and went out.
Right. And then what was that? Did you finish 6th or something like that, or was it better than that?
I finished 7th.
7th?
So not quite as good.
Yeah, but that's still incredible. And then that's your big final table. What is that like? What's going through your mind there? Are you just disappointed that you didn't win the whole thing, or you're like, I got to be feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe. What did you cash for actually? Wasn't it something like 60,000?
Yeah, I cashed for about 69,000.
I'd be going crazy.
And it was really cool. But if you don't win the first place and get a bracelet, you're always going to be really disappointed.
Right.
So I was bummed for a while after that.
Right. And then you had a deep run in the main event last year, correct?
I did. I think I got through by day 5.
Now, so did our buddy Hack. I'm assuming that you were kind of interacting with him throughout that run. Were you guys ever seated at the same table or no?
No, and it's a good thing, because I would have been scared.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that dream that you had. I saw that you tweeted that you woke up and Hack Dang was shaving your head or something of that sort. What was that dream about?
Yeah, I just had this random dream one night where my hair had kind of grown back from the chemo. That was probably about a month ago. Not quite as long as it was now, obviously. And that was a big deal to me because I was bald in December, and I had a dream that we went out and I got really wasted. And then I woke up and Hack had shaved all of my hair off. There's just strings of hair hanging from my head. I was so pissed.
Now, was it something that you were? I'm assuming that you were probably self-conscious when you're losing your hair and everything. Although everybody knows what you're dealing with, you got all these people sort of in solidarity with you. But was it still, as a woman, was it difficult to go through that process? I mean, you look great with short hair now, by the way. But I don't know how you were at your worst.
Thanks. As a woman, it's definitely tough to lose your hair.
Right.
And I thought about it for a while, and I was like, am I going to wear a wig? My mom really wanted me to wear a wig. But it's just not really my style. I don't want to go around pretending that I have something that I don't.
Right.
So I didn't go around completely bald, but I wore a hat.
Gotcha. And then when you lose your hair like that, I'm sorry for being so ignorant about this. I mean, obviously it doesn't come out evenly. It comes out in clumps and things of that nature, right? So what do you have to do just to kind of make it look, you feel the best? You just did you shave it all the way down at some point?
Yeah, there was about 2 weeks after I did chemo, my hair just started coming out. Every time I would put my hand in my head, it would just pull out bunches of hair.
Oh.
And I woke up one morning, and this was the worst morning. I went to the bathroom and I just kept on pulling out hair, and it just couldn't stop. It just kept on going.
Right.
And by the end of it, I had pulled out enough hair to make a toupee.
Right.
And that was so disturbing that I just shaved all of my hair off that night. We couldn't do it anymore.
Right. Well, good for you. I mean, like I say, you look great now. I'm sure you looked great then. Who was it? Was Demi Moore bald in a movie? It wasn't for an illness, but was she bald in one of those G.I. Jane movies or something?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that Thuy looked that way. That she looked like a rock star. I'm sure. Now,
thanks.
One of the downsides, though, obviously, of going through chemo, my father had cancer, so I can relate to this, is that it wreaks havoc on your body, right? And I remember reading somewhere in your blog, it was damaging your liver, all of that. Where are you in terms of that? Is your liver recovered? Your basic organs. Where are we there?
Well, according to my blood tests, I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
But I don't know how much blood tests reflect on your overall health. My liver was definitely in bad shape after I did chemo, and I had to like drink a whole bottle of stuff called milk thistle, which tastes awful. It's like the worst thing ever.
Right.
But I finished the entire bottle, and then my liver, according to the blood test, was looking better.
And how are you doing?
So
Go ahead, Bret.
sorry, Eric. I was going to say, so you go ahead and you elect to get the amputation. Now, was that your decision? Was that a doctor's recommendation, a combination of the two?
Well, the doctors have been recommending it from the very beginning, but I just kind of had to look at my other options first before I made the decision, because it's so hard, and it's, and you have to live with phantom pain for the rest of your life. So definitely, if you want to avoid it, you guys, if you're facing an amputation, try to avoid it if you can.
Right.
Wait, what's phantom pain? What's phantom pain?
Phantom pain is where you feel like you're getting pain in a part of your leg that's no longer there. So I often feel like my ankle is hurting, which is weird.
Now, is that a psychological thing, or is that just?
I think it's something in your brain. Something in your brain,
Something that, yeah. I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. I've been trying to read up on it, and it's like your body just isn't used to your new body. It's kind of like freaking out that you no longer have a leg or something. I don't know. It's really weird.
It's definitely a neurological condition, and it's not something that's made up. It's a real thing. It's definitely a known side effect. Well, I think you look great. I think you look amazing. How are you doing energy-wise? You feel good?
I've been feeling a lot better since I've been getting around on the new leg and like trying to learn how to walk more and getting more comfortable with it. And I'm really excited about getting back to California and Vegas and just like continuing my life.
Right.
Because it kind of sucks sitting here in Williamsburg.
Right. But
what about walking? Have you started to walk a few steps? I mean, like, what's your progress with that?
A lot of progress. I was on crutches last week. This week I'm walking around with a cane, which is a huge improvement. And, I don't look quite as awkward as I used to. I still kind of look like an old woman walking around, but it's not as bad as it was.
Now, are they going to be able to hook you up with a prosthetic where you're going to be able to run and everything like we see on the commercials? You see a guy with a prosthetic leg and he's running, like 4-minute mile. Are we going to see you doing that at some point, hopefully?
I've never had a goal to run a 4-minute mile. But, I mean, I couldn't do that with 2 legs. I can't imagine doing that now. But I think in about 6 months, I'm going to get a new computerized leg, which is going to make walking, and I think I might be able to jog with it much easier.
Oh, nice.
With the one that I have now, it's called a hydraulic leg. It doesn't have a computer in it. So I kind of have to be a little paranoid when I walk, because I have to make sure that, like, I have to kick my leg out, and I have to make sure that it locks, and then I put pressure on it, because if it doesn't lock, then I end up, having my face on the floor, which is embarrassing.
It's also dangerous.
So, dangerous. So I'm looking forward to the next leg. I think that's when I'll really be able to just, walk around normally without any problems.
Right. Well,
now, what are some of your poker goals coming up? And I know you want to play the World Series. How many events are you going to play? And and you mentioned wanting to be a female, and get a sponsorship deal. So obviously that's one of them. What are you looking forward to during the summer of poker?
Main goals is to play a lot, pull in a lot of hours, make a lot of money playing the cash games. I usually play the 10-20 cash games.
Wow.
And obviously play a lot of tournaments, because as I said, I told you, like, you can make your potential as a female playing poker is in the endorsements, because we're so hard to find. So that's my reason for playing the tournaments, and hopefully I pull in some big scores. So besides, building my bankroll, playing live, I ultimately do want to land that sponsorship.
Well, I see it coming. I mean, you know the right people. You're on a great site like Poker Road. Your blog is featured there. What's that been like, too, by the way? How long have you been a part of the Poker Road community?
For less than a year. I got started in that because I became good friends with Barry Greenstein.
Right.
I met him at what was it? The Bellagio Cup event, and then I met him again at in Uruguay playing one of the tournaments. And he's just somebody that, you know, the minute we began talking, I knew that he's somebody that I wanted to be friends with because he seemed very respectable, very down-to-earth guy, and somebody that I could learn a lot from, not just in poker but through life, because he's so smart. So we became good friends. And after the World Series last year, I started talking to his stepson, Joe Seebach, and about starting a blog, and he was, all about it. And I started that. As soon as I started that, I found out about my health problems. So I just kind of had to start writing about it.
And the response, I'm assuming, has been overwhelming, too, from people that you don't even know. Beyond the poker community, right?
Right. I've been getting a lot of support from, people that I've never met, and they keep on, sending supportive messages and sending really positive tweets. It's been really great.
Why don't you give out your Twitter address so everybody can follow you?
It's at realtweedoan.com. Look, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. At realtweedoan. That's it.
Yeah.
See, ESPN needs to feature your story.
Totally.
Right as you're playing in the main event.
Right.
Day 1, day 2. You need to be one of those feature stories. Would you be down for that?
Totally. If you guys can set that up.
We know some people. Look, I don't think you're going to need our help. People in the poker community know your story. They're going to see you around there. You're going to get plenty of attention. This is going to be your breakthrough year. You thought last year was your breakthrough year. I think this year is going to be your breakthrough year. And I just want to make sure I'm not seated at the same cash game as you when we're up there for a week or so. But I don't have to worry about that because you'll be playing 10-20. I'll be playing 1-2. So, well, listen, thanks a lot for being on the show. You're a real inspiration to a lot of people. Bret, why don't you give everybody the information again on the tournament that Full Tilt is providing, and Victory Poker is helping to support that, and Full Tilt's helping to support that. All of those different players. Give the information if people want to play again, Bret.
All right, here's the deal. The date is set, okay? May 16th, 5 p.m. on Full Tilt Poker. It's a $200 buy-in with $100 going to Thuy, and of course, all the rake is going towards her medical expenses. So you got to thank Full Tilt Poker for setting up that tournament. I know like Howard Lederer was involved and a bunch of those guys. So props to them for stepping up here. And we hope you raise a ton of money because I know it's been a tough situation, but you seem like you're in great spirits. So props to you as well. Yeah,
you're an inspiration to all of us, Thuy.
Thank you. And I just want to go ahead and thank everybody for their support and everybody who's playing the tournaments and stuff. Like seriously, if you see me at the World Series, remind me that I owe you a giant hug.
Well, hey, by the way, what if somebody just wants to ship you some Full Tilt money? How can they do that?
I don't know, thought about it. I guess you can send it to She's No Good.
She's No Good, right?
Yeah.
And is that your Poker Star's name too, or no?
Yeah.
She's No Good. All right.
Okay.
And now I know that you're focusing on the live play, but you better check out your Full Tilt and your Poker Stars account occasionally because you never know. You might have some deposits in there, some transfers. Okay.
No, yeah, seriously. Like if you don't have the $300 to put up.
Yeah.
Maybe just ship her the $100. She's no good on Full Tilt.
Right. That's
Why
what I'm thinking. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I have the time to play in the tournament, but I don't see why I couldn't ship over $100 to She's No Good. Why wouldn't you do that? That seems to make all the sense in the world. So you better check those accounts there, Thuy.
Okay, I will.
All right. Thanks again. You've been a pleasure, and I hope maybe Bret and I get to hang out with you a little bit and see you in person during the World Series.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Drinks are on us.
All right.
Okay,
Sounds
cool.
good.
Cool.
Take care, Thuy. Thanks.
Later, guys.
All right, take care.
All right, so that that was Thuy Doan. Once again, her tournament on Full Tilt, May 16th, 5 p.m., $200 buy-in, $100 rake, which is going directly to Thuy and her medical expenses. So I urge you to get signed up and participate in that. This is the Poker Static Hot Seat. Thanks for checking out the show, and we will see you again next week.
Peace.